Hello, I'm Meliors Simms. I'm the Holistic Tooth Fairy, and I am speaking with Anna Carson.
Hi, yes, I'm Anna Carson. I'm kinesiologist from Damara Wellbeing.
And today we're going to talk about my codes.
Well, first of all, they're just beautiful. I don't know if people have seen them. And yeah, maybe we should have had one actually to show people. But yeah, I guess I wanted to understand a bit about the journey. I know I've been part of that journey, but to really understand the journey of how you've come from starting to do them, and understanding your role as sacred seamstress that has come through now as well. It's a beautiful journey, and yeah, I'd love to hear more about it.
Okay, so I think it started last year in about April. I was watching a webinar with Dominic Weston, who was talking about something about empowering the feminine voice. And that had a really profound effect on me, and I, in order to be able to integrate the what that was making me feel, I had to come to you for a kinesiology session, and in
Yep.
that session you suggested that I should check out Hannah Wilson's work, and Hannah Wilson runs a group on Facebook called the Keepers of the Codes, where she's bringing together people who are channeling source codes and light codes and dragon codes and sacred geometry and all sorts of sound codes. There's all sorts of versions of how
that's beautiful ones.
Channel these that are not in I guess you could say human language, but nonetheless speak to us. So as soon as I saw what was happening in this group and Hannah's work in particular, I felt compelled to pick up a needle and thread and start embroidering, because I have a background as a textile artist. It is my go-to form of creative expression, but I hadn't actually done any for a few years, or hardly for about 4 years before this. So I started channeling all these codes that were very connected with chakras. I've been studying chakras and working with chakras for a while, and this is all in the context of my Holistic Tooth Fairy coaching practice, where I'm supporting people to help heal and prevent tooth decay and gum disease. And so the codes were coming through to support my clients and to support my work in that space. And they were coming through thick and fast. And then I think it actually came to me first in a dream, but I came to realize that I needed to do some ancestral clearing work with Helena Ryan, who we both work with, in order to be able to continue down this path. I've kind of gone as far as I could go on my own, and I'd come up against some blocks that I'd inherited essentially from my family lineage. And so I ended up working with Helena for about 7 months, and I did very little channeling of codes and very little embroidering of codes during that time. A little bit, but not much. And then I finished that work with her in January this year, and honestly, the next day, boom, the codes started coming through, and they were really quite different. Like the ones that I did last year before the work with Helena were quite dull in colour, like visually dull to look at, and they were a bit I mean, I look at them now and they don't speak to me in the same way anymore that they were at the time. It's almost like the difference between looking at black and white TV and colour TV. My perception of them. And so I've been stitching all these new codes and sharing them in the Keeper of the Code group and in a couple of other groups that I'm in. And then you saw one of the codes that I had done very recently. Tell me what you saw, what you
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, I saw one that you'd posted, and I just had a huge body response to it. And I knew that that I would needed to ask you for one. That there was something that that you were tapping into that would provide something for me that I needed, whether it was healing or activation or whatever. But I just straight away I knew that I needed to request one or commission one. So yeah, it was just a huge intuition kind of hit of just like, all right, okay, yep, I need one of those. Yeah, so which was just amazing. And I've obviously watched you kind of starting to stitch it and stuff like that, and it's always, every time I've seen it, it's just got huge body response to it. So yeah, it's amazing. So I can't wait to actually receive it.
It's been really neat for me because my response was, of course, yes, I would love to do that. And I didn't have a very clear idea of what I would do. I picked up a piece of fabric, which turned out to be the wrong kind of fabric, but never mind, and my threads, and I started stitching using the basic structure of the infinity loop that has been kind of the baseline of most of my codes so far, and it just turned into something that I didn't know it was going to be. So very much I feel like I was channeling that for you. I mean, I love it, but I don't really know what it means in the way that I have always felt like I've known what my codes have meant before. Yeah. But I just trust that you will know. Or if you don't know,
and that's, and I think that's the thing with codes, isn't it? That, and sometimes we don't even know, but we can sense it. It's almost like our soul knows, and it activates something in our soul. And I know you've done a video about your codes, which I think we'll put the link in the comments of this, but it is about, it's reactivating something. So it's not introducing, like you said, it's not introducing anything new, but it's reactivating something. It's opening up that potential. And that's the feeling that I get when I've seen it, is just, oh yes, okay, there's something there, and I don't know what it is, but it is, it is activating something. That's the amazing thing. It goes beyond the consciousness. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It goes beyond the consciousness, and sometimes we have no idea what it's doing, but we know it's for us.
And then in the middle of making that, you offered me a kinesiology session. Well, I think I asked you for one actually, because I was having a rough time with this transition into this next level of bringing through these codes and my quantum teeth threading intuitive work as well. And in that session, I don't even know how to explain it. You can probably explain it better because you kind of were observing what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, we basically were tapping into a time when you were a seamstress before. But what became more as we worked through it was very much, there was a sacredness to your work. And I know we've had past lives together, I think that also came through. And, some of the codes, I know you'd stitched another one after that. And I had a sense that I'd worn that, that, and that you had been this sacred seamstress who stitched these beautiful, ceremonial gowns, and for priestesses or whoever to wear, and so it was really, I guess, activating those gifts, those memories, back to you, that are still held in us. And this is, I think one of the things that I'm noticing, especially since the first eclipse, so at the end of January when we had that first eclipse, ever since then we've gone into this activation stage. Before that we were very much in a clearing stage, it felt. So we're clearing a lot of trauma, we're clearing, and I clear not just from this life but also from past life stuff as well. And so we're all clearing that sort of stuff. So it really felt we're just needing to get rid of it all. And then since this eclipse, the work has changed and we're actually starting to activate. So when I'm doing sessions, there's memories held. And one of the beautiful things I've just, kind of working out is that the memories are held often in our womb. They're held in the lymphatic system of our womb, and that's what we're activating. That's what we're going into, and that feels just so amazing, because that's where we birth things from. That's where our power is, our creativity, everything. That's where it's held. And so that's and these are things that have maybe come from Atlantis or Egypt or Lemuria. They're all from ancient civilizations where we were so much more connected. We were so much more in tune with our gifts, with our psychic abilities, with our connection to source, and all that we can really bring forward. And we're reactivating that now, which is amazing. And you're just you've following your journey. We've seen that, we've seen it in each stage, and that's been the beautiful thing, because you've documented it, you've done videos and posts and everything else, so you can follow your path through that, because it's not just a sudden one session, bam, that's it. It doesn't work like that. It's a process of clearing all of the stuff, human stuff, and then more esoteric stuff and things, and then we get to the activation stage where often the skills, and I think this is one of the beautiful things that we were talking about, is that your embroidery was already part of your life. That's what I love, that was already part of your life, and now we can see why. That those skills you already developed, but now you can use this in such a beautiful way.
When you talk about activating gifts, it's not like you have a session and suddenly you can pick up a violin when you've never touched one before and you're virtuoso. It's not like
exactly.
that. So no. I have been doing embroidery and hand stitching for over 40 years, and I until recently I had a career as a contemporary textile artist, and I won awards and I was exhibiting. This was my calling, my passion, and I certainly have done my 10,000 hours to become an expert about that. So I've put in the hard yards, and I had a practice of stitching as meditation, of slow stitching as a meditative practice, and the work that I was making was full of meaning, and I was doing lots of stuff about environmental healing, and the theme of my work was the Anthropocene, which is this era that we're in now, where human activity is going to leave a trace in the geological record, and it's like a new geological era that we've come into since basically the oil age. Or maybe the Industrial Revolution. Anyway, that was the theme of my work, and I'd worked through stuff about the glaciers melting in Antarctica, and I'd worked on things about rainforests and coral reefs, and then and oil spills, and then I came to mining, and I got stuck on wanting to make work about mining, and the technical problem of representing what I called negative space, the hollow of the mining, what's taken out in the mining. And I got stuck, and I basically stopped doing any textile art for about 4 or 5 years. And then when I picked up the needle and thread to start stitching codes last year, conceptually it felt like no time had passed, and I had found the answer to that question of negative space in the symbols of the infinity loop and the DNA double helix that I've used a lot in my codes, and it's that what it's brought me to is that idea of what's inside us is infinite, that we are one with the universe. We contain universes inside us. I mean, that's actually work that I had made before using language as a poet, and now it's like it's coming through in these codes. So even though they seem to have come out of nowhere, they absolutely have an absolute continuity, but I needed to be activated. All that stuff, the ancestral work I did with Helena and the kinesiology clearing I've done with you was necessary to get me to a point where I could do what I'm doing now.
And that's exactly that. I think when we can look back in hindsight and see that all that we have done and all that we have experienced, even the negative and everything else, it's all led us to this point, and it's all, we can then look back with gratitude and know that the struggles and the suffering or the pain or the the gifts and the jobs and the everything that we've done all comes together to culminate into what we're then moving into. And that, I think, it blows my mind sometimes, when you kind of think about how it's so intricately embroidered, it's intricately embroidered into our life, to get to here. And that, that's amazing, I think. And like you say, now we're in this activation stage. I think we're going to see more and more people stepping up and going, okay, so this is why I've done all this, and now is my gifts that I can I can give to the world, that I can share, that I can pass on.
The
phenomenal.
analogy that I thought of was like, it's like we're an intricate Tiffany lamp, that stained glass, beautiful lampshade, and it looks really interesting and beautiful, but it's not until you plug it in, until you activate the electricity and the lamp is lit up, and then you see its full potential. It illuminates everything around.
Beautiful. Exactly that. No, that's a perfect analogy.
All right. Well, thank you very much for asking me about my code.
Thank you for sharing. It's such a gorgeous journey, and like I said, we'll put the link in the comments about your video, because that helps people to see exactly what they are, if they're drawn to looking at them.
My Etsy shop, so people can go and look at images of the codes.
Perfect.
Right. Lovely.
Wonderful.
I'll see you next week for another conversation. Bye.
Looking forward to it. All right, bye.